Welcome to Sakshi TV. I am your host, Geeta Chopra. Today we are continuing doing the U.S. Special Elections coverage for 2020. Today I have the chairman of the Young Federation of Republicans in New Jersey joining us. He was also named on the 100 Power Millennial list to watch out for in 2020 by Insider New Jersey. As a former councilman, he was also the Young Republican of the Year in 2015 by Union County. So let's see what he has to say about the upcoming elections. JoeSarno, welcome to the show.
Geeta, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, I'm so excited what we're going to be talking about today. And first, tell me more about this. So you're on the 100 Millennial Power list to watch out for. Congratulations. How did you accomplish that?
I think, it's kind of, you get nominated, so it's obvious that I guess I've made enough connections. I'm a little bit of a humble guy, so what I like to say is being the chairman of the Young Republican Federation of New Jersey, it's really young Republicans that show up to our deployments and really knock on doors and get our message out. So I really credit them for any success that I have, because I wouldn't be there today without their hard work.
Okay, well, that's wonderful, and that's a very humbling statement. So how do you like being the chairman of the Federation of Young Republicans for New Jersey?
I enjoy it. I get a chance to really, I get to play matchmaker, right? I talk to folks down in South Jersey. I have connections, obviously, up north. I live in Scotch Plains. I'm originally from Forked River. I grew up down the shore. So work very hard to get all Republican candidates across the finish line statewide. And it's all different levels, right? Whether it's a congressional candidate like a Tom Kean or a Jeff Van Drew, or even a local candidate like today I was walking with my mayor here in Scotch Plains, Al Smith. So and getting young Republicans like Nick Bruno, who's running out in Hunterdon County in the town of Clinton, getting out there and supporting guys that no one would ever hear of, right? And my other friend, Freddie Hayek, I'll give him a shout out. He's over in Watchung, the borough of Watchung, 6,000 people. Who would know who these guys are? My goal is to elevate their status, give them the resources they need, and get them in touch with the people that can help advance their candidacy.
Okay, great. So it sounds like you're doing a lot of great things on the ground. Now, you are from the Republican Party, and I know a lot of millennials these days are not from that party. So do you find a lot of things arising with that, or how do you handle that?
Yeah, so, I look at my generation, right, or the millennial, right? I guess I was tagged as a millennial. And they do tend to sway a little bit more Democratic. But the good news is that the youngest generation, these Gen Zers that are coming through, and even there's another generation that's coming up as teenagers now, they're coming up more concerned. What we have to do is provide an avenue for them to grow through the system, get them involved in their college Republicans, and Turning Point USA, whatever it is, to get them the avenues that they need to let them know they're not alone, right? Like, there's plenty of conservatives out there that'll help them along the way. So even if one generation may sway a little bit more liberal than they are conservative, I'm confident that the next generation that grew up in a time where the market really wasn't doing well, right? You go back to 2008 and the crash and whatnot. These kids grew up and maybe their mom and dad lost the job, or maybe, they lost some income and they had to move or whatever it is. And I think they grew up a little differently than my generation did. That had a little bit more wealth, a little bit more certainty in what they did. So one thing that's actually quick note is my alma mater is Albright College, very small school, Reading, PA. I just got a phone call to go out and talk to those college Republicans. So you know what?
Well, that's
if
nice.
I'm out there still connecting the dots with people half my age, God bless. I'm ready to rock and roll.
Now, did you say, what I picked up on earlier, you said a lot of 13-year-olds and younger, that age group, are conservative?
Yeah, I'd say more in their teens. I don't know if it's 13. I know my nephew's around that age. But
okay.
In their teens, that's what we're seeing. And when I hear
those are, sorry, the Gen, what are those called? The Gen?
I was saying Gen Z. Gen Zers.
Gen Zers, okay. So the millennials are typically voting left, but you're saying the Gen Zers that are coming up are more conservative. So that's interesting to see the pattern, actually.
Yeah, to me, not all hope is lost. It's not all going Democrat. These things are cyclical, right? You look at generations, maybe the baby boomers are voting one way today, and it just shows you that, each age group is voting differently. Some may group suburban women as one group.
Who knows where it'll be in 50 years from now?
Exactly.
Good to think about, right?
Yep.
So let's talk about some of the local issues in New Jersey that voters should be concerned about. So we're going to be casting our votes soon, obviously. Now, what do you think people are concerned with, and what do you think they actually should be concerned with? What are some of the top things on your desk, since you're actually in the field, that you really want to voice your concern to the voters today on this platform?
Yep. So the first thing we have to do is actually explain the new process, right? This is the first time ever that we're going to have a all vote by mail election. So we have to explain to voters that they're not going to be able to actually pull the lever in the booth or actually hit any buttons.
So let's talk about that. Just maybe explain that process first,
Sure.
Getting into the issues. How do we vote? How do they vote this year?
How do they vote? So everyone that's a registered voter in the state of New Jersey is getting a ballot. I know here in Union County, they're mailing them out day by day in alphabetical order. So we're getting down to the S's. So Scotch Plains will start receiving their ballots on Monday, meaning tomorrow. Well, I don't know when this will air, but tomorrow will be September 28th. The point is that we'll all get a mail-in ballot. You can return a couple different ways. You can return by mail. I actually don't recommend going through mail. I recommend going to a county drop box.
Why is that?
Because it is a more secure way than the postal service. I believe the sheer volume of ballots that are coming back to the post office creates a problem. It's,
okay. So you trust the post office. You're just saying they'd be inundated.
Right. I think I trust them only 97% of the time, but that 3% is a lot of ballots. I trust the drop box, and let me explain why. Because it needs a Democrat and a Republican key in every drop box throughout the state of New Jersey to actually get in and actually take the ballots out. It's a well fortified structure. It can stand, you're not going to rip it out of the ground. It's bolted in. So I've been recommending to all the voters, drive over to your local drop box.
How many drop boxes are there, and where are they located?
So they keep springing up, right? I know the counties generally start from about like 4 or 5, and now they're trying to get them in every municipality in Union County. And other counties are following suit, right? Okay. So you look at a Middlesex or Hudson, they're increasing the numbers as fast as they can. As soon as they get these boxes made up, they're putting them in public places that have a camera and that have ample parking.
Okay, so viewers, you heard that. Make sure you go to a drop box and not the postal office.
I highly recommend that. And you can go to your polling place, but you know what they're going to make you do? They're going to make you wait in line 6 feet apart with a mask on. You can hand in your ballot, and if you don't have one handed out, then they actually have to check to actually make sure you didn't mail it back, and then they're going to make you fill it out by hand anyway. The only people voting in a machine this year are anyone that has a disability. Think of someone that's legally blind. That's it.
Okay, wow. So people better take note of that. Now, well, what about some of the actual issues this election, in your opinion? So can you go over a few of the main ones? And we're going to talk about the governor later, but what are some of the issues on the ground? Issues
on the ground really vary, right? So if you go to a congressional race, it varies on those topics, right? If it's a Tom Kaine, I've been on the ground with him. They want to know what it means to a Republican majority. What does that mean? Does that mean lower taxes? Yes. Does it mean that we're going to not get rid of private health care? Absolutely. Our nation's security, supporting our police. That's what you're seeing on a federal level. On a local level, I could talk here about Scotch Plains. I mean, we're just going to voters and we're saying we have a AAA bond rating. We're not going to be, we don't owe our political lives to some state senator that controls all of county politics, right? We are independent of that. We run on our own name, and we are about good governance. So that is an important thing. And as a freeholder candidate, a commissioner candidate, since the name has been changed, one of my biggest issues is running on a fiscal budget. I mean, we cannot continue to borrow money on top of monies. This is just ultimately going to make it more expensive to live in New Jersey, and it adds already to the taxes that we pay, to the tolls, and to the gas tax and our income taxes. We're definitely going
to, I'll interject now and say, so New Jersey is really an exit state, and I believe 69% people are leaving because of the high property taxes. So Phil Murphy. Let's talk about Governor Phil Murphy now. What is his proposed budget, and what are your thoughts?
All right, so here's, I don't know if he's the governor. Sometimes I think he's the czar. It's unfortunate, but I really get disappointed on the fact that he is ruling by fiat, and his budget has a ton of borrowing, and it doesn't even have a way for voters to approve it. He was able to skirt that by using COVID, yet he had no real ways of addressing COVID with this additional monies. Now, thank God the New Jersey state GOP, they sued the administration. They were about to borrow $10 billion. The GOP was able to cut that in half, but it's still astronomical. Think about this. Governor Murphy's borrowing $4.5 billion, okay? And this includes projects that are helping golf courses in Essex County. I mean, we're putting $4 million into golf courses. This is silly. This is not anything that has to do with COVID. This is not a matter of buying masks or doing more testing. This is all about vanity projects and pork projects. And that is unfortunate for the residents of New Jersey who look to leave each and every day, especially now that more can work from home, right? I can't tell you how often that family talk to me and they're like, debating moving to North Carolina, moving to Florida where there's no state income taxes, especially as they approach a fixed income.
Okay, now what about how did he handle COVID-19 in your opinion?
I think he started off okay, with the exception of putting sick people in nursing homes. I mean, I could say that his response, aside from that, in the early stages was okay. I have to give him some kind of credit. I think he's tried to slow down things as fast as he could, but the biggest misstep, and one that he still doesn't address today, is the fact that he put thousands of our most vulnerable people at risk, and we lost them, and we can never get them back. And I know that the state Senate, at least on the Republican side, has called for investigations, but those on the Democratic side are not interested in entertaining it. To me, it shouldn't even have to do with party lines, right? We should be investigating what went wrong and what can we do to fix it in the future. 7,000 lives out of nursing homes and long-term care facilities. That to me is what makes him a failure. See, he may have started off okay, but it came crashing down shortly thereafter once we learned that so many lives were lost needlessly.
Okay, and do you think he's going to make changes to that or even the budget that you spoke of earlier?
I don't think he feels that he has to address it. He looks at it as this is a liberal playpen. He has control of both sides of the legislature. He thinks that his approval numbers are high enough right now and that he can continually be against Trump and focus on national issues, that he doesn't have to worry about anything at the state level, right? This state, I hate to say it, is not going to vote for Donald Trump. It is not going to do that. And because of that, he can be anti-Trump all day long. He can ride that wave as much as he can. And the voters of the state are too focused on the Supreme Court nomination than they are of what's happening in Trenton. And that's.
So do you really feel that New Jersey's not going to vote? It's not going to be a red state?
I don't feel that way, no.
Okay, well, that's a little disheartening for you, I suppose.
It is, but you got to be honest. I'm not going to sit here and blow smoke. I'm a straight shooter, right? Throw me fastballs, ask me the hard questions, and I'll give you a real answer.
Okay. Now, is New Jersey a sanctuary state? And what are your thoughts on that?
You know, when New Jersey became a sanctuary state, it really disheartened me because it takes away, what it means to come to a country like the United States of America. It used to mean something to become a citizen. And for all of those that went through the journey to become a citizen, it really takes that away, right? You made it easy enough now that you don't even have to be a citizen. You can just be here. Why not?
I think it's a difference between illegal immigration and legal immigration, because I think that's really what the essence of this is, because Republicans and Democrats are both for immigration, but Republicans, I believe what you're saying is that it's just legal. You want the legal status.
Correct. It's not that we're all immigrants, right? In one way, shape, or form. I can tell you my family came here a few generations ago. And the way I look at it is go through the system and become a citizen. There's something to be said for that. Do it legally. And if it's too hard legally, which I can even test to, I talk to many people and it takes years to become a citizen. Should it be that way? I don't think so. But at least try to fix the system. What we see here is that once Democrats get into power and they have all control, right? Now, they got rid of the big elephant in the room. That was Chris Christie. Now they just turned it into a place where they can, it's a little too hard to go through that. So we'll just make it okay for everyone to be here. We'll make it easier to vote. And now you can vote online. You don't even have to check driver's licenses. You just do it by a social security card. You shake your head at it, but you could just see it's all politics. It's not about doing it in a way that is promoting legal entry into this country, and it's unfortunate.
Right, right. I understand. Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, I know that's been an issue also in the Trump administration as well. So that's definitely an issue for this year's election, really. So, what are some of the other topics or issues that you think you want to talk to voters about before they go out there and vote?
What I want to talk about is think about where our economy was, right? Think about what our president was able to do, and think about giving him control again, right? And I think that's important. We have to get the House back, and we have to keep the Senate. If we believe that we want a Supreme Court that follows the Constitution and understands we're a nation of laws, I think there's only one clear choice out of all this. Now, on a local level, and this is where everything's different, right? I'm in a town where there's more Democrats than Republicans, right? So I'm not going to go out there and run on a pro-Trump message. I'm going to run on a pro-local candidate message. I'm going to run on a pro-record type of deal. So what I learned in New Jersey is focus on your local people. Even if you are a Biden person, I understand. I really do. But listen to your local candidates, because I can tell you there's so many good Republicans up and down the state that get overlooked because they're on the same side as Trump in a Democrat town, and
Okay, so
I
like
really
the voting straight ticket again?
Yeah, I think, and what I'm seeing now, I think in 2018, I think people wanted to punish Republicans. I went door to door there. I was 2018 candidate for freeholder. I had a lot more doors slammed in my face then. And I laugh a little bit at it now. And I really didn't even get two words out. They were just like, oh, get out of here.
Straight ticket, huh?
But now I think people are a little bit more open. I think they're seeing that, like, you know what?
People are more open now.
There's a lot of crazy, right? There's a lot of crazy and
Yeah.
bad attitudes on both sides of the aisle. I think people have acknowledged that. And you know what? There's a lot of good people in between. And I think voters
Right.
are more open to that than they were a couple of years ago. Just my intuition.
Now, you mentioned the Constitution. So are you saying that Democrats don't follow the Constitution?
They want to have an activist court, if that's what you're referring to. And to me, that's not what this isn't up to a court to make laws, which is what I think Democrats want to happen time and time again. The Constitution was made, it's a special document. It's one that is made to be interpreted. It is stated there, and I want a jurist to follow the Constitution.
Are they trying to change the landscape of the Constitution then, in your opinion?
Absolutely, I really do. And you hear it already. You want to blow up the Electoral College, and I think that would be a disaster for this country.
Do you think the Electoral College is a fair system?
I believe it is. It gives purpose to go to these states that they normally would not go to, right? It gives purpose to go to Wisconsin and going to Iowa and going to New Hampshire, where if you get rid of the Electoral College, you're going to focus on Houston, New York, San Francisco, and you're just going to turn out votes. LA, for that matter, just your large metropolitan areas. At least swing states definitely switch every 4 to 8 years. There's no two ways about it. It's not always going to be, Florida. Sometimes a New Hampshire or a Michigan. Isn't it crazy? Michigan is a swing state. That's the purpose of the Electoral College. It actually gives small states a voice. It's the reason we have 2 senators per state, no matter how many people live in that state. And I think that kind of representation is just not found throughout the world, and what makes this country as great as it is.
Of course. Now, what would you say to swing states out there, if you could, just before we wrap up and before they vote? They're a swing state. What would you say right now?
I would say, what party makes you feel safe, right? What party supports your police departments? What party supports law and order in your communities? Who support and I come from a family of police. I can admit that my brother-in-law, my uncle, many people and these are everyday people. They're your neighbors, and they're out there protecting our communities. What party makes you feel safe at home? And I think that's what I would tell the swing state voter. If you're living in suburban Pittsburgh, I would say, what party makes you feel safe at home? What party is supporting a great economy that's bringing jobs back into this country? That's my message to the Michigans and to the Western Pennsylvania and to the Southern Ohio's and to the remote parts of Kentucky or even greater Louisville, whatever it is. I really believe that our party is at the front and center of protecting its citizens. Whereas I believe the Democratic Party has gone off the rails from what it was, and they are allowing, they're okay with anarchy. They don't want to strike it down, and their tone is not strong enough to actually beg for law and order.
Okay, yeah, so you're calling them the party of anarchy, basically.
I am.
Okay, that's noted. Now, in closing, I have a comment here. So it says here, it's no longer Republicans versus Democrats, it's America versus communism. What are your thoughts on that?
All too often, I see the socialist and communist rumblings that come out of this, right? And it's a slow process in the sense that we're seeing people that they want a universal income. What does that lead to? And you're getting away from the idea of the individual, right? It's all about groupthink, and it's about mob mentality, and that is communism. And unfortunately, time and time again, what we've seen throughout history is that communism unfairly rewards those in the system and keeps everyone else flat and doesn't promote individual accomplishments. So, Geeta, if you and I were in a classroom together and you were a star student and I was a slacker, if you're getting A+, you put the time in, and I showed up 5 minutes late every day. I took a bathroom break. I barely did my homework, and I'm skating by with a D+. If the teacher came in and said, listen, everyone's going to get a C+ this year, how would you feel about it?
Yeah. So socialism, a system where everyone is equally poor. That's one of the quotes I read. So I thought that's kind of useful for your answer that you provided today.
Yeah.
Well, let's hope for the best for this election. I want to thank you for your time coming on the show today, and also wish you the best with any future campaigns and even your door-to-door and all the hard effort you're putting in for this election for the community. We really want to thank you for that. And
thank you.
Fabulous guest.
Really, the pleasure's all mine. Thank you for reaching out and having me on your program. Very excited to be here and get my message out here. So really appreciate all you're doing, and I hope you're staying safe during these uncertain times.
Yes, and same for you. Hope you're staying safe, and thank you again. And viewers, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to click subscribe. Watch my next show coming up for the U.S. elections 2020. I am Geeta Chopra.